Hello, I'm Steve Barnes, and today I'd like a few minutes of your time to share something with you that could affect your lifestyle dramatically during the next few years and well into the future. Those of us who live in the South have developed tastes unique to this part of our country. Ask a Southerner what one of their favorite summertime drinks is, and you'll hear iced tea. And you're probably asking yourself, well, how's iced tea going to affect my life? In the next few minutes, we'll try to explain, because today we're going to talk about are you ready for this? The Intermodal Surface Transportation Efficiency Act of 1991. And if that's not a mouthful, I don't know what is, but bear with me and we'll make some sense of it. This is where our iced tea comes in, by the way. The first letter in each word of this new law, Intermodal Surface Transportation Efficiency Act. Put them all together and it sounds like iced tea. Maybe the spelling's off, but for the sake of discussion, let's remember ISTEA, and that it stands for Intermodal Surface Transportation Efficiency Act. Okay, so what is ISTEA, and why are we telling you about it? Well, ISTEA is the revolutionary transportation bill that Congress passed in 1991, and it requires a lot more of states and metropolitan areas in terms of planning and public input into those plans. And that's why we're here today, to explain ISTEA and how you can get involved. Let me break it down in a little more detail. Intermodal, what exactly does that mean? Well, we've all heard the expression different modes of transportation, right? Cars, trains, boats, and planes. It's that simple. Intermodal means an interaction among all the different modes of transportation. Now, when we add the word surface to the title, well, surface means any mode of transportation except air traffic. For example, trucks, trains, boats, cars, anything that moves from one point to another on a surface and not through the air. Today's operation of Arkansas's own J.B. Hunt Trucking Company is a perfect example of this intermodal surface transportation concept. No longer is freight simply loaded in a trailer for transport. Now, J.B. Hunt loads freight in a multi-purpose container, which can be shipped not only by truck, but also by train or boat. Truly a modern intermodal concept. Transportation is a word most of us use on a daily basis, and in this case, we're talking about getting someone or something from one place to the other. That's easy. The last and very important word in this title is efficiency. In this case, we're talking about managing our transportation resources more efficiently, getting a bigger bang for our tax buck. Efficiency ties this whole idea together. Transportation affects everyone's life, every day, whether you drive to work or take a bus, whether you ship goods by train or truck or barge, when you buy groceries or clothing or a new easy chair, in some way, transported you. ISTEA recognizes all forms and uses of surface transportation and takes into consideration some that might not immediately come to mind, like sidewalks in our city's neighborhoods, and bike paths for our friends on two-wheelers, to the more recognizable streets and highways, and the safety guidelines we take for granted, but that keep us all from harm's way. ISTEA specifically calls for one very important thing: your input. Whether you're a transportation professional, somebody directly concerned with a specific aspect of transportation, or John or Jane Q. citizen with a keen interest in the governmental process, we're asking you to become involved. How many times have you picked up your local newspaper and read about a public hearing or the formation of an ad hoc committee that addressed a public issue? Have you ever said to yourself, I wish I'd known more about that, I would like to have been more involved? Well, now, what does all of this mean? Transportation planning is a cooperative process. It recognizes and integrates the needs and the values of the state, the public, and private sectors, and local communities. To fully understand the significance of the cooperative process, let's look at a little history. Just for the fun of it, let's do it with cartoon characters, not expensive Walt Disney type cartoon characters. Matter of fact, I'll do the drawing and we'll use stick figures. Nobody's going to pay anything for my artwork. Early this century, to improve our nation's defense after World War I, General Blackjack Pershing saw the need for a network of roads. A national defense highway system was proposed to Congress, but it wasn't until the 1950s, when another general, Dwight Eisenhower, was president, that the interstate highway system was finally started. In fact, the whole country started a 40-year project of building thousands of miles of freeway connecting cities, freeways traveling through and around cities. So who made those freeway decisions? Engineers, highway department officials, statisticians, politicians, and for the most part, they all made good decisions. But times have changed. We live in a more complex society today and want more say in what directly affects us. ISTEA says there must be public input to make certain everybody has the opportunity to lend their voice to the decisions on how their tax dollars are spent. Our country spends billions of dollars each year on our surface transportation routes. ISTEA authorizes funding for $119.5 billion in national highway construction and repair over the 6-year life of the bill. Sounds like a lot of money, doesn't it? But it seems small when you compare it with the nation's mounting transportation congestion and the aging infrastructure associated with that congestion. Add to all this the important fact that Congress wants to make certain that the very people who send this money to Washington in the form of gasoline taxes get it back in the most efficient and effective manner possible. And that's the main reason for ISTEA, the main reason you should be involved. A large portion of these funds are referred to as being flexible. In metropolitan areas in which over 200,000 folks live, local jurisdictions can shift ISTEA funding to specific needs. Now, we have over 200,000 people living in central Arkansas, so our funds are flexible. This means there's going to be competition among the cities, counties, and the various modes of transportation for these limited funds, and that will require some critical decisions. Over the next 6 years, ISTEA will provide approximately $1.6 billion for surface transportation projects in Arkansas. Now, in return for that, we're to develop a 20-year plan at both the state and metropolitan level with input from citizens like you. To demonstrate this, I prepared some drawings in advance. When I get past stick figures, I can talk faster than I can draw. To assure that everybody involved in intermodal transportation in central Arkansas has a voice in how the money is spent, certain folks have been asked to be members of the Transportation Advisory Council. Now, these are people from groups like motor carriers, joggers, environmentalists, engineers, bicyclists, legislators, community activists, taxi cab operators, bankers, contractors, and others. Now, that's a pretty representative group, but it's still missing a very important person, you. Now that we have the who, let's determine exactly where ISTEA will affect our transportation facilities. Here in central Arkansas, there's a 4-county area affected by ISTEA. The Census Bureau defines this as a metropolitan statistical area, an MSA. The counties included are Faulkner, Lone Oak, Saline, and Pulaski. For the ISTEA strategic plan, an urbanizing boundary within these counties has been designated by CARTS, the Central Arkansas Regional Transportation Study. Within these CARTS boundaries are the cities and towns where we live and work today. Now, I think you'll agree the economies of these counties are tied together, and so closely that they form a single regional economy that's not confined by political boundaries. It's kind of like rowing a boat. Imagine 6 or 8 people in a boat lining up for a rowboat race. In this race, the finish line represents prosperity for central Arkansas. And we're racing against other metropolitan areas all around the world. These folks in our boat represent all the cities and counties in our metropolitan area. Now, how do you think our team will do in this race if they all paddle in a different direction? Not much of a chance of winning the race, huh? Well, let's take it a little farther. What if these boat racers start hitting each other over the head with their oars? Really hurts their chances, wouldn't you say? Well, here in central Arkansas, we don't intend to lose this race or to even come in second. We're going to get together, get as much input as we can, plan strategically, and then move forward. We're going to win this boat race. The economic interdependency relies on the transportation infrastructure and facilities serving the MSA. Since you live in this area, you're familiar with some of the recent population shifts and the transportation demands that are generated by these shifts. Since 1970, the percentage of population of the MSA in Pulaski County has declined. Conversely, the percentage of the area has spread out, redistributed itself, but rather the impact that it's had on transportation in the central Arkansas area. For the most part, our freeway system in central Arkansas can handle normal traffic easily, but there are certain times of the day, known as drive time, when things get congested. Now remember, please, highways aren't the only means of transportation we have to plan for. Barge traffic is increasing on our rivers, and we're seeing a marked resurgence in rail travel and shipping. ISTEA requires that we develop a new 20-year transportation plan, fully multimodal, mind you, so we have to anticipate where development will occur. We have to formulate a strategic business plan for the MSA. This is no pie-in-the-sky deal. Critical decisions have to be hammered out. These plans are for real. No ISTEA funds will be spent on anything that's not in the plan. When you consider the population shift in the four-county MSA over the last 20 years, more and more people every day are using our roadways to get to and from work, school, doctor's appointments, just to run errands. More raw materials and parts are being shipped over these same roadways to our factories, and the finished goods from those factories travel back over the same roadways. More people are traveling more miles in more cars and more trucks every day, and unfortunately, wear and tear on our highway system isn't the only problem created by increased usage, nor are highways the only concern. More bike paths are needed, more pedestrian walkways. For decades, school buses have connected rural households to our schools. Here in Arkansas, we've been blessed with some naturally beautiful surroundings. In addition to providing for improved traffic facilities, ISTEA also considers our environment and provides funding for the protection and maintenance of Mother Nature during this improvement process. Another exciting aspect of the Act is that it includes projects that would preserve or adapt or even rehabilitate historic transportation buildings and facilities, including abandoned railways. Some charming old train stations could come alive again. Inner-city bus stations can be remodeled and made more appealing to travelers, and access roads to airports and waterports can be widened and improved. The construction and maintenance of pedestrian and bicycle paths are in the plan, as is the acquisition of scenic easements and scenic sites. And any plan proposed by the state has to include plans for the 6 metropolitan areas, including ours. Again, the word cooperation comes into play. So who's in charge? Metroplan. Metroplan is the designated Metropolitan Planning Organization, or MPO, for the four-county MSA. Since 1955, Metroplan has been doing long-range planning for public infrastructure that supports economic growth. Metroplan's board of directors is comprised of the mayors and county judges representing the member jurisdictions, plus a representative of the Arkansas State Highway and Transportation Department and the Central Arkansas Transit Authority. You can contact Metroplan at 372-3300. Now please remember, we're developing a 20-year plan for surface transportation. ISTEA provides a unique opportunity for you to participate in the process. Whether or not you take advantage of the opportunity is up to you. Our first major deadline is December 1994. At this time, we must have our Metropolitan Plan ready for presentation. There are a lot of meetings and discussion sessions taking place. Much like a business, say our fellow Arkansans at J.B. Hunt Trucking, we have to plan strategically in order to keep pace with our competitors in today's global economy. We're beginning an exciting era here in Central Arkansas with the advent of the Intermodal Surface Transportation Efficiency Act, and we hope you'll consider being a part of the decision-making process. As we begin the strategic planning, there is still one very important question to answer. How can you get involved? Well, as we said at the start of this presentation, your participation is critical to the project's success. The purpose of this presentation is to give you just enough information on ISTEA to make you want more. We hope we've accomplished this, and we hope you'll contact a Metroplan board member or your local advisory council member for more information on how you can participate in the planning for our transportation system. And thank you for your time. I'm Steve Barnes.